Hello, I'm Miss Patel, and I would like to welcome you and extend my thanks to you for watching this presentation. I hope you and your families are safe and well. You will have already received various correspondence from Mrs. Too's, Executive Head Teacher, and myself, and I would like to thank you for your patience as we navigate the transition process in these uncertain times. The primary to secondary transition is definitely one of the highlights of my academic year. I strongly believe it is imperative to ensure that every student can fulfil their potential, both academically and personally. Please be assured that we are doing everything possible to ensure the best start for your child. Over the course of this presentation, I will be sharing information on the transition to Herts and Essex, but I will also share information from my colleagues on various other aspects. You can see their names on the slide, and I also have some quotes from the current Year 7s. One advantage of accessing the information in this way is that you can come back to it as many times as you like. There are certain sections that you may want to watch back with your child as well. The aspect ratio at the time of recording has meant that in some cases the bottom of the slide has been cut off. Most of the time it's the footer that's missing, but there is one slide where the numbers aren't very clear, but there is a PDF copy of all of the PowerPoint slides available in your pack alongside the other documents. In my part of the presentation, I would like to outline my vision for Year 7 as head of lower school and ultimately reassure you that your children will be well looked after by us. I have reflected on the transition process for the current Year 7, as well as my own transition to secondary school, despite it being a number of years ago now, and I've thought about the most common questions that you as parents and carers may have about your children. There will often be mixed feelings about moving from primary to secondary school. For some students, it will come more naturally than others to go up to new people and start talking and making friends. We have an experienced team of form tutors who are aware of these challenges, and even in the current climate, there will be plenty of icebreaker style activities when your child joins us to help them settle in and make new friends. There are positions of responsibility in each form that will need to be filled, such as form captain, sports captain, and charity rep, as well as the deputy positions. House activities run throughout the year, such as the Harvest Hamper, where forms can be quite creative and all work together. You can see the winning entry from 7 Astra for the current academic year here. We have a strong student council which provides an opportunity for students to think creatively about things that directly affect them and suggest solutions. This is another opportunity to make new friends in addition to the many co-curricular activities that run during prep and after school. Students would normally start to work on their All About Me presentation on Taster Day in July and finish them over the summer holiday. You will still receive information from Herts and Essex on Taster Day, and your child can still work on this presentation over the summer months. The presentations will be shown in the autumn term and give students the opportunity to show how creative they can be. It will also allow students to share some common ground with their peers again, helping them to make new friends. One piece of advice I often give to students who forget their exercise book or homework is to get into good habits and pack their school bag the night before. The responsibility will shift over to your child, and we want them to become independent. It may be useful to have a storage box at home where your child can keep all of their school books together, with a copy of the timetable on the lid, so they know what to pack for the following day. Even now, as an adult, I still get my work bag ready the night before, especially if it means I can have a few extra minutes of sleep in the morning. Catastrophic situations is a frequent problem for Year 7 students. In their mind, leaving their exercise book or homework at home will immediately mean detention for a week. This is highly unlikely for a first-time offence, and most certainly not in the first couple of weeks. A technique we will go over with students during form time and assemblies is to reflect on the situation and ask themselves the following questions to help put things into perspective. Have I experienced something like this before? How did I deal with it? What can I do next time to ensure this doesn't happen again? This is why we do ask that you do not bring in forgotten items at school on behalf of your children. I am sure we've all had similar experiences at school of forgetting particular items, the odd piece of homework or in my case, regularly forgetting to get my planner signed. I lost one break time and my organisation skills soon improved. For those of you who have older children already at Herts and Essex, you will know that we provide lockers to students with an expectation that these are used. We are very pleased to inform you that we have been working with a company over the last year who will provide lockers to all Year 7 students. Lockers can be purchased by parents and carers through their website, and as the slide shows, students are provided with a 4-digit code to then access their particular locker. The locker rental costs approximately £20 for the year. We feel that this is excellent value for money, as the lockers are built to a high specification and includes an annual maintenance check as well as any remedial maintenance that is required. We are currently finalising the details for lockers, but please be assured that I will get this information out to you over the course of the next few weeks. As I've already mentioned, we do expect all students to use their lockers, as opposed to carrying too much around the school site. This is not only from a health and safety perspective, but also to look out for the students' posture and ensure they don't get too tired. The amount of homework between primary and secondary school was probably the biggest change I experienced when moving to secondary school, and a number of our current Year 7s would also agree with this. A technique that I use with students currently, and would definitely encourage your child to think about during form time in those first few weeks, is making a timetable to schedule in time to complete homework in addition to other commitments such as clubs. This is something that you may want to think about with your child as well. Again, this all ties into developing strong organisational skills and helping your child to become more independent. I have received comments from some parents and carers at the Year 7 parental consultation evening in previous years about how their child doesn't ask for help anymore with homework. This is no bad thing, and ultimately the right direction in which we want our students to move in. Nevertheless, students will have the complete support of their subject teachers if they are struggling with content in lessons or homework tasks. What they will need to get used to is using their initiative and actively going to find their teacher to speak about these types of issues. Subject teachers in those initial lessons will make this clear to students and tell them where to find them outside of lesson time. Finding a teacher on the day the homework is due in is not a good solution, so again, organisational skills are key. Another good use of initiative would be to use the school email to email subject teachers with queries. This is something that I encourage all of my students to do if they can't find me. As I have mentioned, students will need to get used to having numerous teachers and finding their way around the school. I remember getting lost with a friend to one of our lessons within the first few days of secondary school. We bumped into a teacher whilst trying to look for the correct classroom and panicked we were going to get into trouble for not being in our lesson. I still remember her name to this day, Mrs. Barry. She told us how to get to the classroom we needed and was ever so friendly. One of the things that drew me to Herts and Essex was how many similarities there are between here and my secondary school. If your child does get lost on their way to a lesson, there will most likely be someone around who can help. We have a buddy system in place, whereby Year 11 students will take the 6 different forms to their lessons and then pick them up again at the end, ready for the next one. This will happen for up to the first 2 weeks. After this period of time, it will be up to the students to work their way around the school. It is always lovely to see how quickly they do learn their way around, so much so that by the time open evening comes around in the first few weeks of the autumn term, Year 7 students are confidently able to guide parents and their prospective children around the school. It can be a daunting prospect that your child will be in a very busy environment and faced with many older and taller students when previously in primary school they were the oldest students. There may well be some jostling and pushing in the corridors, but this is part and parcel of secondary school life. Most students will have been with the students in their Year 6 class for most of their primary school career. They will be used to these people. In making the transition, students are going to come into contact with lots of new faces, not only in their own year group, but other years too through joining various clubs. They will meet students whose primary schools and family backgrounds will be very different from their own. We ask that students are tolerant and respect these differences. For example, in some families, teasing is part of day-to-day life, and this may spill over into school life with no ill feelings intended, whereas in other families, this is not part of family life. Being tolerant and respecting other people's views and opinions is important and highly valued at Herts and Essex. Bullying can be a concern for parents and carers and students, but please be assured that we do not tolerate bullying in school and will deal with this very severely with any student who is found to have bullied one of their peers. You will see that it is quite high up on the behaviour ladder we have in place. Can we suggest, if you think your child feels they are being bullied, that they keep a diary for a couple of weeks, documenting what has gone on? This will establish whether it truly is bullying and will therefore give us useful information to tackle the bully with, or is a simple case of falling out. I strongly feel that in an increasingly competitive world, resilience is an important skill set for your child to build on from Year 7 to help them bounce back from situations. Resilience is covered in PSHE, but it is something that will also be built into form times and year assemblies. The geographer in me particularly likes this quote, and I do think it's very apt in describing how we would like to see our Year 7 students develop. A useful technique to deal with various situations is to think if, how, and what. This is language that I use with students and could also be used at home. This language is built into our coaching, and we have a strong team of coaches, both teaching and support staff. The coaching program gives individuals the opportunity to discover for themselves what they could be doing to get around issues and move themselves forward. Coaching empowers the individual, and through the use of open questioning on the part of the coach, coachees work through mini steps that enable them to achieve their bigger goal. Being coached teaches skills that build self-awareness and resilience. Students can self-refer as there are 2 coaches allocated to each year group. Mrs. Anthony, our learning manager, and Mrs. Draper, our design and technology teacher, can be contacted for further information. In addition to the coaching we offer at Herts and Essex, you can see on this slide that we have various adults and older students who are able to provide support where appropriate. Ensuring we have a mentally healthy community at Herts and Essex is of paramount importance to us, and last summer we received the Gold Carnegie Wellbeing Award. This is run by Leeds Beckett University and is the most prestigious audit of mental health provision. My aim for this part of the presentation was to outline my vision for Year 7 and reflect on our school values. The only one I haven't explicitly mentioned is compassion, but I hope from the various strategies, activities and systems we have in place, you have seen that your child will be in experienced hands, allowing them to move from being a young child to a young adult by the time they finish their education at Herts and Essex. You would normally have the opportunity to hear from a couple of our current Year 7 students and their experience of their first year with us. Please do take a look at the next 4 slides from the current Year 7 that I hope you will find reassuring about our transition process. Let me now introduce you to a very important person for your child over the course of their education with us. Miss McWhinney will be the year leader for Year 7. She has been a year leader at Herts and Essex for 3 years, seeing the current Year 11 through from Year 9. Miss McWhinney says that Year 7 is a new experience for her, and therefore you are all in this together. On the next slide, you can see how your child can make a great first impression with Miss McWhinney. Miss McWhinney says these are key to making a successful year and, most importantly, a successful start to life at secondary school. You may want to watch the next slide with your child, or you can always go back to it later on with them. When walking around the school site, Miss McWhinney will always say hello each and every time she sees you. This may be a smile, a wave, hello in many languages, but she will always make the effort to greet you. Please make sure this is mutual and, importantly, something you can do to all members of the school community. Starting a new school is a different experience for each individual. Some will be happy, others excited, some may be a little nervous, and each one is okay. We all have a job to do to make starting at Herts and Essex a positive experience and making sure that this continues throughout your education with us. So when you can be anything at all, be kind to each other and look after each other. Every one of you will have your strengths and equally areas where you are not as strong. In every lesson, each challenge, every day, just do your best. That is all we can ask. Don't compare yourself to anyone else and stay focused on what you are doing. When you start at Herts and Essex, there are so many things for you to get involved in across the wider school. Sports, art, music, trips and visits, student leadership opportunities, you name it and we probably do it. Therefore, make Miss McWhinney a promise that you will try something new. You will have seen from the Year 7 quotes earlier, they mention a wealth of opportunities, co-curricular activities and our amazing new facilities at Beldham's Lane. For the next part of the presentation, I will be sharing lots of information with you from Mrs. Kirkham. I'll start by discussing the broad and balanced curriculum which we follow at Herts and Essex. But before we look at the range of subjects followed by students, I thought it would be useful to look at the shape of our school day. Students are welcome on site from 8 every morning, and many students choose to either purchase breakfast from our school restaurant or to work in the library, which is open between 8 and 5 every day. Students have 4 hours and 35 minutes of learning each day in a range of subjects. They need to be fully prepared for each day's timetable, and to support them in this, they will be provided with a copy of their own timetable and a locker in which they can keep their books and PE kit. Every student will also have a supervised prep or co-curricular session at the end of the school day. Students will be asked to sign up for these activities, and I will discuss this in more detail later in the presentation. Let us now take a look at the Year 7 curriculum at Herts and Essex. There's a lot of detail here, but the purpose of this slide is actually to demonstrate that from the start of Year 7, we place considerable emphasis on our students acquiring a rounded education. Through our curriculum, students embrace our school values, building resilience and creativity, learning to respect and show compassion for others, and understanding how to use their initiative and build independence. Our curriculum is broad throughout the school, but particularly in Years 7 to 9, when consideration is given to the need for a balanced approach to education. We believe that all students should be given the chance to explore a variety of subjects before refining their educational pathway later in the school. We give real value to the creative subjects, and this is demonstrated through the teaching hours which are allocated to art, design and technology, drama and music. We also value PE and sport, and our dedicated sports centre allows us to offer our students a world-class experience of sport. The teaching of humanities subjects is also central to our curriculum, and the subjects receive equal teaching allocation across Years 7 to 9. Throughout Year 7 to 9, students will receive an increase in English and Maths teaching in order to build students' resilience regarding key knowledge, understanding and skills such as problem solving in Maths, and to embed these in students' long-term memory. In Maths, English and modern foreign languages, students are placed according to their ability, but teaching sets are reviewed regularly and the need for mobility is recognised as students progress through the school. Regarding foreign languages in Year 7 and 8, for the majority of students, they will study 2 languages, 4 periods of study allocated to each language. Extra English and Maths tuition is provided for a small number of Year 7 and 8 students who would benefit from the study of one foreign language only. In these cases, students will study Spanish in addition to extra English and Maths tuition. It is important that parents and carers and students make choices very soon about the languages they wish to study in Year 7. In effect, you will need to discuss the choices with your child and make them on a SurveyMonkey. The link to the SurveyMonkey will go out to all of you in the week beginning 8th of June via the Transition to email, so please do look out for this. You will also be sent the information on language options at Herts and Essex and be able to discuss this with your child. Then you will need to complete the SurveyMonkey by ranking the languages in order of preference from 1, first choice, to 3. We will endeavour to give students their first or second choice. If we think that a student would benefit from studying one language, Spanish, this will be discussed with you in early September and alterations will be made to the student's timetable at that stage. But by 22nd of June, all students should choose one of the 3 options as indicated on this slide. As seen on an earlier slide, all students have access to either supervised prep or co-curricular activities from 3:10 every day. If students choose a supervised prep session, this will allow them to start homework tasks in a supervised environment at school. Students will be set homework to complete in all subjects, which will deepen and extend students' knowledge, understanding and skills in all their subjects. In Year 7, teachers will set homework in accordance with a homework timetable. Alternatively, during the afternoon prep session, students can choose to attend one of our many co-curricular activities during this time. These co-curricular activities are aimed at developing students' talents, introducing them to new stimulating opportunities and promoting important personal skills such as teamwork, initiative and resilience. Whether it's participating in sport, developing and showcasing their dance and drama performance skills, or participating in challenges such as Arts Award, there are activities to engage every student's interest. To sign up for these supervised prep sessions, co-curricular activities, or a combination of both, you and your child will complete a second SurveyMonkey, and the link for this will be sent again via the Transition to email in the week beginning 8th of June. So, there are 2 important emails to look out for in this week regarding language options and co-curricular activities. Now, moving on to look briefly at Behaviour for Learning at Herts and Essex. We create a calm and disciplined environment at school, which allows every student to thrive and develop. If there is any unacceptable behaviour, this is dealt with swiftly, fairly and proportionately. We love to recognise the students' achievements, progress and contributions to the life of the school through awarding house points to students, and parents and carers are able to view these on Firefly, our virtual learning platform. When students accumulate enough house points, they will receive a rewards postcard from their form tutor, year leader or the head teacher. Each student's house points are also added to the overall total for their house, Astra, Castle, Forest, Hart, Lee or Seax, with the house cut being awarded on a termly basis with an overall winner at the end of the academic year. In a moment, when we move on to the next slide, you will be able to see all the areas in which we reward students with house points. Students and parents and carers are also invited to honour roll breakfast events where their achievements are recognised. We also have a strong commitment to supporting students' wellbeing, which was recognised last year when we were awarded the prestigious Gold Carnegie Wellbeing Award, as previously mentioned. If students require wellbeing support, this can be offered by form tutors, the year leader, or one of our trained coaches or school counsellor within school. If you are interested in learning more about Behaviour for Learning at Herts and Essex, our policy is available on our school website. You will also have received a copy of our Behaviour Ladder, Homework Ladder and Rewards Ladder in your Parental Information Evening Pack. There is some brief information about the house system and rewards on this slide, but please refer to your pack for more detail. In the next section of the presentation, I will discuss the assessment, recording and reporting of students' progress, and each of the areas on this slide will be considered in turn. Each Year 7 student will be set a GCSE target grade for each of the subjects which they are studying, except the creative subjects of art, drama, music, PE and technology, in which target grades will be set at the start of Year 8. These target grades are based on a whole range of data. We ask that students sit a baseline test in each subject at the start of Year 7, allowing teachers to make an assessment of students' ability as they start their Year 7 studies. All of this data is used to generate a set of target grades for each student, which represent the outcomes which students should reach, or even exceed, if they work to the best of their ability throughout Year 7 to 11. This creates a profile for the student that allows us to project what GCSE grade, from 9 to 1, they should achieve at the end of upper school. This is known as the student's flight path. Students' academic progress and performance is then tracked against their flight path and their target grades to ensure that they are working effectively. These graphs on the slide represent a student's typical flight path in two different subjects, maths and history, to show that we understand that in different subjects, students will make progress at different rates. In maths, students tend to make progress of 1 grade in each year, whereas in a subject such as history and English, students tend to make more rapid progress between Years 8 and 10. This means that in Year 7, a student's working at grade in history could be lower than in maths, but nonetheless, by the end of Year 11, the student should have made the same progress in both subjects. Of course, it is vitally important that both students and parents and carers are kept informed of the academic progress which is being made. Students are involved in an ongoing dialogue with their teachers about their progress. Formative comments and targets on students' work are another way that both students and parents and carers can track progress. However, we also have times throughout the year when we formally report to parents and carers. There are 3 tracking reports in Year 7, the details of which are on the screen. On students' tracking reports, each teacher awards a score for both attitude to learning and behaviour. The characteristics of each area are listed on the screen. A score of 4 indicates that the attitude to learning and behaviour characteristics shown on the screen are demonstrated by a student all of the time, whilst a score of 2 indicates that a student is demonstrating the relevant characteristics some of the time. In this way, these scores should open up a useful dialogue with students both in school and with parents and carers at home. For example, if a student is receiving scores of 2, a discussion can take place about the fact that if they are able to demonstrate the positive characteristics some of the time, what obstacles are preventing them from being able to do this all of the time, and what can the student do to make their attitude to learning and behaviour more consistently positive, and how can they be supported in doing this? This slide offers an opportunity to view an example of the tracking which Year 7 parents and carers will receive in the autumn and spring terms. At school, we also use the tracking reports to ensure that we offer students the appropriate stretch, challenge and rewards and support as necessary. The details of these interventions are shown on the screen now. There are, of course, also opportunities for parents and carers to meet with teachers to discuss their child's progress. In Year 7, the first of these opportunities is early in the autumn term at the Pastoral Review Day. On this occasion, parents and carers will meet with their child's form tutor to discuss how they are settling in to Herts and Essex. This event normally takes place in November. However, due to some changes that we have had to make to the transition timeline, the Pastoral Review Day will be taking place within the first half term to give you all the opportunity to meet your child's form tutor sooner. The Parental Consultation Evening in Year 7 takes place in June, which gives parents and carers and students an opportunity to meet with most of their child's subject teachers. I will now move on to a presentation from one of our lead practitioners, Mrs. Reed, and share her information about literacy across the curriculum with you all. At Herts and Essex, we place a huge emphasis on literacy across the curriculum. This is because we want our students to be clear and accurate communicators. We want them to take pride in their work, in their presentation, and to understand that their exercise books are a medium for them to capture their learning and develop their skills. We aim to broaden vocabulary, celebrate presentation, and encourage wider reading. Literacy will be taught in every lesson, not just English, and we will routinely expect students to draft and proofread their work carefully. We will also devote lesson time to green pen activities, where students will review assessed work and be given time to correct mistakes or develop ideas. We will expect every student to take pride in their work and complete it to the best of their ability, taking time to present their work carefully and accurately. Each subject will display a list of expectations, which will be common across all subjects. Students will be issued with a handwriting pen in Year 7 English lessons, and they will be able to purchase additional pens in the library. We will expect all written work to be completed using a suitable handwriting pen in blue or black ink. You can see on this slide the handwriting pen that your child will be issued when they start with us. None of these bullet points will come as a surprise. Of course, students will make mistakes, but careful proofreading before submission often eliminates many errors, and this will foster good habits for the future. Careful presentation will be celebrated in our marking, and house points will be issued. Tip-top paragraphs are a technique used in English. This slide is for your information only at this stage, and your child's English teacher will develop this skill with them over the course of their time with us. Your child will have been encouraged to read widely throughout their primary education, and we will continue to foster your child's passion for reading. Tutor time will be allocated to private reading on a weekly basis, as well as time in English lessons. Therefore, it is imperative that students remember to bring a book to school every day. Here is a link to the Book Trust website, which will help you to find suitable literature to engage and challenge your child. You might find they are stuck on one author, often Jacqueline Wilson or similar, and this will help you to broaden their reading and find other wonderful avenues to explore. This brings us very nicely to the next part of our presentation from Miss Dash, our dedicated and enthusiastic librarian. We are very lucky at Herts and Essex to have a well-stocked and much-loved library. The aim of our library is twofold. Firstly, we promote reading for pleasure. The library gives students access to a range of good quality, up-to-date literature for all abilities, ages and interests. Reading is such an important aspect of literacy. It is shown to boost grades across all subjects and it supports mental well-being. So it is really important that your child still finds time to read alongside their studies. Secondly, the library supports learning across all subjects. We do this by providing students with books, resources and a productive study space to help them with their studies. In terms of space, we are open from 8 until 5 every day. So students are more than welcome to use the library before and after school for homework or reading. The environment is a busy yet focused one. It's a space where students can come to study or read without the distractions that they might have at home. We are lucky to have a large collection of resources in the library. We hold around 12,000 books, as well as newspapers, magazines and DVDs. Miss Dash works closely with departments across the school to make sure that our information books are up to date and relevant to all of our GCSE courses, and she also purchases new and up-to-date fiction on a monthly basis. We also have a careers area within the library. It's open all day and focuses on supporting students with their career choices and educational destinations. It holds a wealth of information, and appointments with a careers advisor can be made via the library. In terms of staffing, Miss Dash is a qualified librarian and she works in the library full-time. We also have a library assistant who is available during break and lunch, so there is always someone on hand to help students with finding a good book to read, locating resources for homework, researching information online, and so on. Finally, Miss Dash also organises and runs various clubs, schemes and events throughout the year. These include our popular weekly book club. We also shadow the Carnegie Children's Book Award. We offer work experience opportunities through our student librarian scheme, and much more. So the library really is a busy yet positive and productive area within the school, and Miss Dash looks forward to seeing our Year 7 students there. Our reality is that schools are facing more financial pressure through cuts in funding, so raising money is becoming ever more vital. Let me take you through two main ways in which Herts and Essex does this. Here you can see some information on the Ad Astra Fund and the PTA. The leaflet and letter in your pack will explain in more detail about these, but we are delighted that the funds raised go towards enhancing our students' education, both academically and on a co-curricular basis. This year, as you know, funds have gone towards our exciting new outdoor wellbeing project, which will be ready for our students' return in the autumn. Without this extra income, such projects would not be possible. Many parents and carers choose to give to the Ad Astra Fund via monthly instalments as well as one-off donations. You can do this via the Donate My School platform, the details of which are on the slide and the leaflet. We know that today's circumstances mean that many families are unable to lend their financial support, even if they want to, and as a result, we are extremely grateful for any contribution, large or small. The development team, which oversees the distribution of the Ad Astra Fund, works closely with our PTA to allocate funds where there is the greatest need. The PTA is run by a small group of parents and carers, and they hold social events throughout the year as well as selling refreshments at in-school events. They are always looking for new members or helpers, and being part of the team is a great way of getting to know other parents and carers as well as more about the school itself. Please do consider joining them. Even on a small scale, your help will be very welcome. Details of who to contact are in the PTA letter in the pack. I'm finally going to briefly share some information from Mrs. Forbes, one of our governors, and how you can get involved if this is something you are interested in. Being a governor is a unique way of being part of the school community, understanding in more detail how the school works and contributing to the community. The link on the screen gives full details of what is involved. If you are interested or have further questions, please contact us on the Transition To email address and we will put you in touch with the correct person. This brings me to the end of our presentation. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen. I hope that you feel well informed about the transition to Herts and Essex. I hope that you feel reassured on how your child will be supported during their education with us and how you can get involved in our community. As I mentioned earlier, you have the opportunity to view this presentation as many times as you like, but you may want to leave it a day or two and take a break from my voice. Please do go back to certain sections to watch with your child, as I do think this will be useful and help to reassure them too. If you have any questions about the information you have received in this presentation or your pack, please do contact us on the Transition To email address. You have received various correspondence via this email address already. Please stay safe and well, and we are really looking forward to being able to meet you and your children very soon and working with you all.